Last night you dreamed, you probably don't remember it, and if you do, it's already fading. Right now, as you watch this, the edges are dissolving, the faces are blurring. The logic that made perfect sense at 3 a.m. is quietly collapsing into nothing. By tonight, it will be completely gone. And here's the part nobody tells you. That forgetting isn't accidental. It isn't a flaw in your brain. It is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. The question is, why? And the answer reaches much further back than you'd expect. Because humans didn't always forget their dreams. For most of our history, dreams weren't something that happened to you and disappeared. They were something you held on to, something you told other people about, something you built entire belief systems around. Ancient Egyptians kept dream journals on papyrus. Greek temples were built specifically for sleeping in, so the gods could speak to you through dreams. Indigenous cultures across 6 continents treated dream recall as a skill, something you practiced, something you got better at. So what happened? When did we lose it? And stranger still, what were those people doing differently that let them hold on to something your brain now throws away before breakfast? Start with what actually happens when you dream. Every night, your brain cycles through several stages of sleep. The one that matters here is called REM, rapid eye movement. It's the stage where your brain becomes almost as active as it is right now while you're watching this. Your eyes dart behind closed lids. Your body goes temporarily paralyzed, a built-in mechanism so you don't physically act out what's happening in your head. And your brain starts generating experiences so convincing, so fully realized, that you have no idea they aren't real. During REM, your brain does something unusual with its chemistry. It almost completely shuts off a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. This is the chemical most responsible for attention, focus, and memory encoding. The chemical that takes an experience and stamps it into long-term storage. During REM sleep, that system goes almost entirely offline, which means your brain is generating the most vivid experiences of your entire day and simultaneously switching off the system that records them. That is not an accident. Researchers believe this is deliberate. The current leading theory is that REM sleep exists partly to process emotional memories, to take experiences that carry a strong emotional charge and replay them in a low norepinephrine environment. The idea is that this allows your brain to extract the meaning from a difficult memory without re-triggering the full emotional weight of it. You process the wound without reopening it. And the forgetting is part of the mechanism. The dream does its work, then it dissolves. But that still doesn't explain why some people remember dreams vividly and others remember almost nothing. And it doesn't explain why ancient humans seem to recall theirs so consistently that they built entire civilizations around interpreting them. The difference comes down to something called the hypnopompic window. That is the narrow stretch of time between being asleep and being fully awake. It lasts anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, and it is the only window in which dream memory can transfer into something you can actually hold on to. Miss that window and the dream is gone. Catch it, and something of it survives. Here's the problem. The way most people wake up today is the single most efficient method ever designed for destroying that window entirely. An alarm. A sharp, jarring sound that spikes your cortisol, activates your stress response, and yanks you from sleep into full alert mode in seconds. Your brain immediately begins orienting to the external world. Where am I? What day is it? What do I have to do? The hypnopompic window doesn't close gently, it gets slammed shut. Whatever was in it vanishes. For most of human history, that didn't happen. There were no alarms. People woke slowly with the light. The transition from sleep to wakefulness was gradual. The hypnopompic window stayed open longer, and in that extended window, dream memory had time to consolidate. That's part of why ancient people remembered their dreams, not because their brains were different, because their mornings were. But there's a second reason, and this one goes deeper. Remember the two-phase sleep pattern from ancient history, first sleep and second sleep. The window of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night, between roughly midnight and 2 a.m., that historians found documented across centuries of human records. That window wasn't just for reflection, it was neurologically the ideal moment for dream recall. When you wake naturally after your first sleep cycle, you are emerging from a REM period. Your norepinephrine levels are still low, your brain is still partially in the dream state, you are warm, still, in the dark, with nowhere to be. The hypnopompic window in that moment isn't a few seconds, it can stretch for minutes. And the people lying awake in that quiet middle-of-the-night window weren't reaching for their phones. They were lying in the dark, thinking, replaying, which is exactly the cognitive process that consolidates dream memory into something you can describe the next morning. We didn't just lose the ability to recall dreams, we dismantled the conditions that made recall possible. Then we declared ourselves biologically incapable of something our ancestors did routinely. Now here is where the science gets genuinely strange. In 2021, researchers in France published a study on something called lucid dreaming, the state where you become aware inside the dream that you are dreaming. What they found contradicted almost everything assumed about the rarity of that experience. When participants were given specific techniques to use during the hypnopompic window, techniques as simple as lying still upon waking and mentally retracing the last images before waking, the rate of dream recall increased dramatically within 2 weeks. Not just recall, vividness, emotional detail, narrative coherence. The brain hadn't changed. The window hadn't changed. Only the behavior inside the window changed. And there is something else in that data that the researchers flagged but few people noticed. Participants who recalled dreams more frequently showed measurable improvements in a specific cognitive cluster: emotional regulation, creative problem solving, the ability to make unexpected connections between unrelated ideas. These are not small skills. These are the exact skills that separate people who respond to difficulty versus people who are undone by it. Which raises a question worth sitting with. If dream recall is connected to those skills, and if ancient humans prioritized it the way the historical record suggests they did, was that purely superstition? Or were they, without any neuroscience to explain it, intuitively protecting a cognitive process that actually mattered? The Iroquois had a formal practice of sharing dreams each morning within the community, not as entertainment, as a diagnostic tool. They believed unremembered or unshared dreams were a source of psychological imbalance. Western psychologists spent a century dismissing this as primitive, then spent the second half of that century building entire therapeutic frameworks around dream processing. Frameworks that structurally look remarkably similar to what the Iroquois were doing. Carl Jung spent decades collecting dreams from patients across cultures and noticed something that still doesn't have a clean scientific explanation. Certain images kept appearing, not occasionally, consistently, across people who had never met, who spoke different languages, who lived on opposite sides of the planet. He called them archetypes. He believed they were evidence of something he called the collective unconscious, a shared layer of human mental experience beneath the individual. Science has never confirmed that, but science has confirmed something adjacent. Certain dream themes are cross-cultural universals: being chased, falling, teeth falling out, arriving unprepared for something important, flying, losing someone. These appear in dream reports from every culture that has ever been systematically studied, not as rare events, as common ones, which means at minimum your dreaming brain is running some of the same programs as every other human dreaming brain on the planet, regardless of where or when you were born. That says something about what dreams actually are. They are not random noise. They are not your brain's screensaver. They are structured, consistent, purposeful in ways we are only beginning to map. And most of us are sleeping through them, not because we can't access them, because we wake up wrong. Here is what the research points toward if you want to change that. The hypnopompic window is the key. When you wake, naturally or otherwise, do not move immediately. Do not reach for your phone. Lie still. Keep your eyes closed or softly open. Let your mind drift back to whatever was happening before consciousness arrived. Don't force it. Forcing closes the window. Just hold the stillness and let whatever fragments are there surface on their own. If something appears, even a single image, a feeling, a color, hold it. Mentally describe it to yourself. That act of internal description is what transfers dream content from the fragile state it's in during the hypnopompic window into something your waking brain can actually retain. Researchers found that people who practiced this consistently for 2 weeks recalled an average of 3 to 4 times more dream content than before. Not because their brains changed, because they stopped destroying the window the moment it opened. There is also the question of when you sleep and how you wake. The natural end of a REM cycle, the moment your body would choose to surface if nothing interrupted it, is the moment of maximum dream accessibility. People who wake at the natural end of a cycle, rather than mid-cycle by alarm, report dramatically higher dream recall without any other technique at all. This is why sleep tracking tools that wake you at the lightest phase of your cycle exist. Your body already knows when the window is open. The alarm just never asked. Last night you dreamed. Your brain built an entire world, populated it, gave it rules, gave it feeling, gave it stakes. It ran a simulation so convincing that while you were inside it, you had no reason to doubt it was real. Then morning came. The alarm hit. Cortisol spiked. The window slammed. And by the time you were standing in the kitchen, it was already gone. This has happened every night of your life. Thousands of nights, thousands of worlds your brain built and you never got to keep. Your ancestors kept theirs. They woke slowly with the light. They lay in the quiet middle of the night and let the images settle. They told each other what they saw before the day could take it, and they built temples and rituals and entire ways of understanding the mind around what they found there. We replaced all of that with a 6:30 alarm and a phone screen. The dreams didn't stop, the window didn't close, we just stopped catching what came through it. And every morning when you wake up with nothing, that isn't your brain failing you. That is your brain doing exactly what the last 100 years trained it to do. The question is whether you want to untrain it.